Hello, everybody. This is Aaron Dean, head teacher, head coach at Learning Through Games and Learning Through Chess. We do a lot of chess teaching in the Indianapolis or Indiana area. And we're doing the top 30 checkmates of all time. Right now, we're at number 9, my favorite checkmates of all time. And this is one that's not that old. It's from a World Chess Championship match in 2022 between Ding Liren and Nepu. Ding Liren from China and current world champion now, and Nepu from Russia. Now, before we show you the match, remember or know between these two, when these two played, Magnus had just vacated the title and said he did not want to play or keep his world championship or play to keep it. And that means Nepu had to play Ding, the two next top players. So while this was going on, people pretty much thought that Magnus was still the best player in the world. And the reason he didn't play for the title, there's a lot of it, but that would take kind of a long time to go over. So before we get into the game, I did get an email that said, Mr. Dean, why are not nowadays a lot of more wild or gambit kind of crazier openings played among the very top players for the world title? And the answer is, for one, a lot of those openings with best play aren't considered the best at those levels, especially when people use computers to kind of figure that out. However, I just recently in the chess championship, the French was played. The French right here for black was played, and yes, the French is not really a wild or crazy opening. It's been pretty common, but it's been a long time since the French has been played in the World Chess Championship. Maybe longer than I've been born, alive, I'm not sure. So let's get to the game at hand. Ding Liren was playing white and Nepu was playing black. And this is a French system, or not a French system, a London system. Now, the funny thing about this system that you're looking at, the London, the setup for white, known as kind of the London triangle, not that long ago, this was kind of joked around as being an old man's opening. I would play somebody a lot older and say, oh, they're playing the London. Nowadays, a lot of kids play the London. It no longer has that reputation, so things change quite a bit. So, knight c6, knight b to d2, pawn takes, and then white takes back. Bishop f5. I always love to play a move like bishop f5 when I'm black, so I don't have to get it caught in. Like if I play a move like that, then my bishop can't move out. I always prefer to play a move like bishop f5. Sometimes my worry is, though, when my bishop moves out and is not guarding that pawn anymore, I'm worried that the white queen, can come out and threaten this and pressure it. But of course, the white queen can't come out in this position. So pawn c3, e6, bishop b5. Now, usually in the London system, the light squared bishop has a home right here on d3. But of course, if you go to d3 now, it gets taken. So bishop b5 was played. Bishop d6, bishop takes, queen takes. All right, go ahead and pause the video now and see if you guys can think of a good move for white. Okay, if you chose castling, you were correct. You develop your rook and protect the king. Sometimes in positions, just normal development's the best thing to do. That's what the position calls for. Now, is there any other move here? Well, maybe a move like knight h4 could be interesting, trying to tack off the bishop. That could be a good move too. But they played castle, black castles, rook e1, controlling the half-open file. A half-open file is a file with one color pawn on it. If this pawn were not there and you had no pawns on it, that would be considered a open file. h6, and now white puts his knight on a post on e5. And remember, kids, a post is when you put your knight usually deep in the enemy position and it's protected by a pawn or two. That's a knight post. So Oh, and that did not happen, actually. So knight post. Knight avoids the trade. And a4. Now, we're going to kind of skip to the later stages of the game because, after all, this is about the greatest checkmates. So we want to kind of get to that. So I'm going to kind of go further in the game. Right here where the game gets quite interesting. Kind of a dynamic game. After the check, king moves over. Dynamic meaning there's, it's not, certainly not boring. It's not the same. They don't have similar type of positions. They're both doing different things. And to a lot of people, it's kind of an unclear position, at least to non-world championship level position. Unclear meaning they might say, well, I'm not sure exactly who's winning this game. So f6 was played. Now, if I sat down right now and I were playing white, I would think, okay, where's the best place to move the queen? It's being threatened. Maybe I can move to a place that best pressures the enemy, black. So go ahead and pause the video if you see if you can find a move for white, the best spot for that queen. Okay, now if you chose queen to g5, that does pressure this, but it'll be taken. So I hope you didn't choose that. If you chose queen g3, you were correct. That's a move that can pressure this g7. Maybe later you can add pressure to it. Remember, adding pressure is a great thing to do, but we'll see. a5, that pawn's getting closer to queening for black. Knight takes, a4. That pawn's starting to get better, at least. And what I like about this game is I always love checkmates where it's almost like you're rushing to get a checkmate because your enemy is already doing some powerful things on the other side of the board, like threatening checkmate or getting a queen. It's knight e3. That queen might be available to go to some other squares here. Bishop goes to b1. So the knight can't take it, but the bishop stays guarding this square on g6. Now, if the bishop were not here on this diagonal, well, then the queen might have some options of checking. But regardless, it's very weak for black in here. Rook to c7. Well, we know what white's threatening now. Checkmate on g7. Go ahead and pause the video and tell me if you can find a good move for black in this position. Okay, if you said rook to g8, you were correct. That's going to stop the checkmate for now, so the queen can't go and take because the rook would take back. All right, guys, a good move for white to kind of continue this attack, because white can. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, if you chose to add the knight, knight d5, threatening to take, they can't take back because the rook's pinning, then you are correct. Knight d5 is a great move. The king gets out of there. Now taking doesn't really help you as much. They take back, and there's no checkmate here. So, after knight, king backs up. Rook a7, pressuring the pawn. Pawn goes further, is guarded by the queen. White brings the knight in. The knight is threatening to take the rook. And what else is it sort of threatening, or at least is pressure? You see it? Yes, threatening to possibly do a check here if needed. So after it threatens the rook, rook gets out of the way. And a lot of people love this move. Some people thought it was their favorite move of the game. Pawn to d5. And you might think, well, why? Why is that so great? Well, that's part of why this is such an awesome mate. You'll see later. Pawn d5 is going to block a possible escape square. Pawn a2, somebody's one move away from queening, although the rook's protecting. Pawn a2, queen c7. Now that's an awesome move. What he was doing was he was now, if he checks with the knight, he's no longer blocking the queen like before. He'll check, and I mean, just say like a move like this is played and they get a queen. And now you get check. This has to move somewhere, or it could be taken by the bishop even, and then you get queen checkmate. If the queen were here, it couldn't get checkmate, so that works pretty good. All right, so What happened was, after king goes up, knight comes over. Now white's threatening the checkmate. Rook goes to g8, guards the checkmate. And can you see the move that made Nepu resign? Pause the video if you need to. Okay, here's the move, queen to f7. Now, if you didn't see it, well, I mean, that's why these guys are top Grandmaster World Championship level. Queen f7 with the threat. Let's just say that they make kind of a move like that and get a queen. Oops, no, you definitely would not do that if you get a queen. So let's say they get a queen. Then you're going to take this, check. They take back. Then you're going to check. And it doesn't matter where they go. If they go here, you checkmate on h8. If they go here, you checkmate on f8. And oh my goodness, look at how that pawn's helping out. So this was just a fantastic game. And after that queen to f7, that's where he resigned. So this was the final move of the game. A fantastic game that happened just 2 years ago. And right now, Ding Liren is playing in the World Championship again, and it's tied as we speak. The game is probably going to start any time now. Okay, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was number 9 on the list. I enjoyed even going over it, and we'll see you for number 8.